Yeah, you got a good spot.
Oh yeah, Colleen, you're right there. Okay, so welcome everybody. I have agendas. I'm Kim Anderson and I'm a selectman and I'm the chair of this committee. And before we press the button, we did an informal round of introductions, but let's go around one more time and introduce ourselves and maybe say why, what's our interest in comprehensive planning in Wiscasset. Go that way?
Okay. Hi, Elsa Strasburger. I'm the brand new county planner. Been here less than a month. Not a Wiscasset resident, but here to represent the King County Regional Planning Commission.
Kevin Hardwick. I moved to Wiscasset around the time the last plan was completed, and I remember reading it and thinking when they redid it, I wanted to just be involved.
Alan Terrence, lived here for a little over a year and just kind of want to see what's going on. Just want to be a part of the town a little bit.
I'm Katie Bryant, and it was about the same reason. I wanted to see what's going on and see if I could help, do anything to help.
And Jason Putnam, I live right here in town, in the village. I've just been involved in community affairs since I moved here. Actually, pretty quickly got involved, and it's just, I live here, so I want to see the town go in the right direction, so that's why I got involved. I'm currently on the school board and the planning board and the ordinance review committee.
I'm Colleen Gillam, a Wiscasset resident, and I joined just to be a part of the process and learn more about how things work.
Okay, great. Introductions, check. All right, I will review the minutes of the last meeting. I think everybody was at the last meeting except for Terrence and, I'm sorry, Kevin. I know that.
I missed that one too.
You missed that one too? Full disclosure, I totally feel like an imposter right now leading this because I haven't done something like this before, and so I'll probably keep bringing that up because I totally need help and from everyone at the table and everybody who wants to make a comment. So yeah, figuring this out, a little nervous. I meant to print the minutes of the last meeting and I didn't, but I think I can go back to, I think I posted them on our website. So this is our website up here. And so the first meeting was in July 10th, and I advertised it as an open meeting just to kind of get the ball rolling on this whole process. What I imagine is a really open process where as many people from town who want to be involved can be involved. And so, I put a notice in the paper and said, as many people as possible, please come and we'll talk about the process and what our next steps are going to be. So you can see these are the people who attended. We had a pretty good turnout, I thought. And then, I won't read this to you. It's on our website if you want to see it. But what we basically talked about was I gave a presentation on, what's comprehensive planning. That's also linked on the website. And then talked about what the process should be as far as the research I had done. So one of the first things is to appoint a representative local planning committee. And I don't even think we're at that process yet, but these are all types of people that will be on that planning committee, right? Board of Selectmen, representative key town departments, businesses, nonprofits, different demographic groups from the community. I would definitely love to see our schools and the family side of things be represented, as well as like the senior center and all of those types of activities. Get everyone together. And then, let me see, we made up a list. These are other ideas that people had. So this first part here, these are things I found online, like people who tend to support land use regulation, as well as people who are suspicious of it. So we can get, we can have a wide range of voices. Then we also talked about finding people who are good at fundraising, and these were just brainstormed ideas, right? Bicycle coalitions, like the Bicycle Coalition Maine, somebody from that, because some people are concerned with planning bike paths on the roads. So there's a lot to think about. People from social services, religious organizations, Chamber of Commerce, public finance, industry leaders, even non-resident stakeholders. So that would be people who don't live in town, but maybe they own businesses in town. They probably should have a say. And was that all of the minutes? That was basically it. So that's what we talked about. And we went away. I had some to-do items. One of them was to put this stuff up to create a website and to get it going. It was partially created. When we met at that meeting, I have since added our whole comprehensive plan. And so tonight we'll talk a lot about the inventory list. And so with the comprehensive plan, it's in that binder. It's a big document. You can see that binder by Jason. And what basically is there's an inventory list of all of the, I guess I'll use the word assets of the town at any point. Please help me, tell me if there's, oh no, that's not what we say in business or something.
No, you're doing fine. And
Right.
every town in Maine does, well, almost every town in Maine does one of these, and it's all done by volunteer committees. So
Okay.
It's mandatory though, right? It's the state mandates that we have.
It was mandatory at one time, and so this is, and if somebody knows better, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I researched and found out was that the town, the state planning office was set up, I think under Baldacci, and then it was taken down under LePage. So we stopped planning during the LePage administration, and it became not mandate. However, there are a lot of grants out there from places like, this is where I forget things, I think like Natural Resources Council of Maine and other entities.
Private and some of the state agencies that
prefer it, right?
That to be eligible for certain grants, you have to have one. For others, it is a lot better if you have one, and you probably won't be successful if you don't have a comprehensive plan to point to and say this is in the plan. So I'm not sure the history going too back who was governor when the state planning office was first established, and it probably has had a couple different iterations under different governors because executives like to do things to change, change things up. But the big change was during the LePage administration, where the state planning office, which had been an independent state agency, got lost most of its staff, and what was left got moved into DACF, the Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry. And so now the requirements are not as strong as they were, but there still are programs, and we probably, given political changes since then, we'll go back towards having more programs where it's more important to have a comprehensive plan.
Yeah, definitely. I think we will. Janet Mills, in her inaugural address, said that she was going to create an Office of the Future, which is a name that she took from Kurt Vonnegut, which I thought was pretty funny. I like that. So, yeah, we should have one. I think that we should have one. Even besides the funding, it would just be nice to have a sense of where the town wants to go, that's made up from the bottom up, a consensus of the town. I don't know if we'll ever truly have a consensus, but anyway.
Just to place man in context of sort of national comprehensive planning, the process here is really democratic and really thorough. You guys collect a whole lot of data about your towns, and it also serves not just as future planning, but as a historical document, so that people moving to the town can learn about it. There's a lot in these main comprehensive plans that it frankly is mind-blowing to me as somebody who's worked in larger cities as a planner to see the amount of work that volunteers do to keep these plans up to date. So, congratulations to you all for being here.
Yeah, thanks everyone. So, all right, there's the two big sections. There's the inventory section, which is this list here, and each one of these is a chapter of varying length. Try not to click on those. So so it gets down to 10. There's 10 chapters that I would consider to be the inventory list. And then underneath the inventory list, you have the goals, policies, and strategies, and the future land use plan. And I think that these pieces, goals, policies, and strategies, and future land use plan, that's probably like the exciting visioning part, where, we'll try and get 200 people like in a room together with the paid moderator, facilitator, person who can lead us in a process to, at the end of the day or at the end of the weekend, whatever it is, we come out of there with like a consensus on the plan. Our new set of goals, I don't know about policies and strategies, but at least the goals. I keep pressing that button. So, moving back to the agenda, does everybody have any of these? So there's so many of them here. I guess we're expecting a lot of people maybe. All right, so what I was thinking is there's going to be 2 steps of our planning process. And step 1 is going to be to update this inventory list, which in my thinking, which is totally not carved in stone in any way, so if anyone has a better idea, please say so. Including if you're out there in YouTube land, you can send an email. It's really corny. Okay, just relax. All right, so volunteer working group to go through the inventory items and update. And so the volunteer working group would be presumably us, and then other people who weren't able to make it tonight. And the updates would be with 2019 data, and then also add items that weren't represented in 2008. So an example of that would be under public facilities and services. This section is pretty huge, and I feel like this piece of the inventory item, and there are probably other ones, they'll need to be chunked up into smaller sections. So I wouldn't say like, oh, Colleen, can you go update this section, because it covers a lot. And I'll just go through and read the bolded items. It covers municipal government and administration. And
I did notice the school committee's not mentioned in that list. I don't know if there's a
in
reason for that.
2008, we were part of the RSU. Could that be why?
Maybe.
I think- I
We
think
lived here
we,
briefly, yeah, in 7, they were only talking about doing it. And then we
Well-
came back and they'd done it and got out by then.
there's a separate,
It's over.
there's a
I bet
separate
that
section on schools, so let's
Oh,
see
okay.
as we scroll down if that comes up. It lists the boards and committees, and again, I don't see school there. Today, the school is a department of the town, but there was a time when the school was part of the region, the RSU 12. It was only for 3 years. And then prior to that, I think it was not a school department, it was a school
I
district.
think by state law, they're separate title, was it Title I and Title II or something like that? Because they're both elected? I'm not sure. I mean, I've always been confused by that.
Yeah, I thought I understood it, but now I don't anymore.
I like the old list of vehicles, we probably don't have any of anymore.
Well, that's the thing, so all of these, the major town properties, like we would need to go through and see, do we still own all of these places? Again, the schools aren't listed there, so I'm thinking that's in a different section. And then there's a fire department section, and here's the vehicles, and someone needs to, read this fire department section. It might be good to get a guy at the fire department, if it's possible. Or if not, if I were gonna go and do it, I could just say, hello, interim fire chief, whoever, can I talk to you about these things? And then, run through the list, and they would say, no, we don't have this Maxium fire truck anymore. And so then I would just strike that from the list and add the new things, and I would say, okay, fire department updated. So I feel like fire department, that one looks pretty easy. Wiscasset ambulance service. What else is there? The police department. I'm guessing that this police department section could probably be expanded. It doesn't list vehicles. So it's kind of interesting to me, right, that we have like ambulances listed, but not police cars. Then there's water supply and sanitary sewer system and public works highway department. And so this is, I feel like this section is really big and we can probably divide it up. And then there's this type of information. And then, you know, we're not gonna obviously go out and like measure every sidewalk, but we're probably gonna talk to Ted Snowden in Public Works and ask him for a list of all of the streets and sidewalks. I mean, this is a lot of detail, right? The length and feet, and so this
There are
is
new
all gonna
sidewalks?
change. What?
There are new sidewalks, right?
There are new sidewalks, and the whole downtown section is gonna look a lot different because of the changes there.
And that you have within public facilities and services, not transportation.
That's where it is here.
Interesting,
Yeah.
Because those, I would say probably those should be moved to the transportation section, although there may be some reason that I haven't learned yet about Maine's requirements that they have it either double listed or listed here. But why I point out the transportation section is that the Regional Planning Commission has contracts with both the ACF, which is the former state planning office, and DOT for transportation planning, and we do have a line item in our budget for helping our municipalities with the transportation sections, which DOT funds us to do. So we can help you with that part, and sidewalks are actually my area of expertise. I used to be the bicycle and pedestrian planner for the Regional Planning Organization in Baltimore, so
That's so great.
that's an area that, I think we can provide more support with and, hopefully kind of put more paid time into and get up to a higher level.
That's amazing. We're lucky, and we do have that money. So well, wait, before I interrupt myself, let me continue going through this list. All right, so here's all our roads, and all of this stuff will need to be updated. It sounds like maybe we can get that done.
Mm-hmm.
And then solid waste and transfer station, and this is all gonna, I think a lot of this stuff is gonna need updating. Parks and Recs will definitely need updating. There's new vehicles everywhere. And here it says Wiscasset Primary School, like we don't own that anymore, so that would be a thing that would, those 2 acres for the park, I guess that was the playground, they don't belong to the town anymore. So this whole, here's the school department, Jason. Wiscasset School Department. So the enrollment needs to be updated. In 2004, I guess it looked like there were 870. I think today we're probably 530. At one point we dipped under 500, but this year we had 29
521, 520.
right now.
Yeah, I think.
But yeah, because there's
Somewhere.
29 new students in the middle high school and there's 50 new students in the elementary school. Of course, 50 includes the pre-K.
Yeah. that's
So,
true. They'll have
but
to
if you
pay
take
that.
out the pre-K, then there's 23 new kids. And I'm really curious about that. Like, are they all attached to a family that built a house here? That's gonna change our demographic information. And then I wonder, like, is it a trend? Are we gonna continue to grow our schools? So that'll be exciting to figure out. And I think we'll figure that out as we go, hopefully, through this process. So, so where I started was an example of an item that should be maybe in the list that wasn't before, I got from Carla Dickstein, who I met with last night. She couldn't be here tonight. And she was talking about broadband. So our broadband infrastructure is not in the comprehensive plan, in her opinion, and I think I support this. It probably should be in the comprehensive plan, and if it's not something that the town, it is not something that the town currently sponsors, right, for everyone, but if there is a broadband committee and there's 7 towns and, you might even know more about this at this point than I am able to.
That's a project, that's Mary Ellen's project.
That's Mary Ellen's
so I have not
project.
been-
But there's a goal, right, to bring fiber connectivity to rural areas in Maine. And so I guess there's, and I actually thought, well, we have cable, you know, that's pretty good internet, but if you've ever tried to upload anything on cable, it takes a really long time, right?
It's
to
amazing
upload
that
a
we're on
video.
Route 1. I don't consider it rural here. We're on, you know what I mean, in my mind, it's not rural. We're right
Well,
on the
and there
major
is
artery.
fiber on Route 1, but it doesn't go down
Right.
27, it doesn't go down 218. And there are other places in Maine where they don't even have anything. But there are, it's funny, Carla was telling me that there are some small towns that had no internet at all, and they're going directly to fiber. They're going to skip the steps, you know, of doing DSL and doing cable, because fiber's the new thing.
They can
so-
build their own, I don't know what it's called, they can build their own plant or whatever, some sort of their own standalone apparatus that will help with that. I can't remember what it's called right
I
now.
don't know. It's magic.
It was a legislative debate.
Somehow it works. Somehow it works. But anyway, that's something that, you know, if thinking forward in the future, if you're going to want to attract people to live here, a lot of people telecommute, you know, and work from home. And so if you have high-speed internet, like higher speed than just cable, that's going to be better. And their committee met with Peregrine Technologies and with Molnuka, and both of them said that that's an issue, like that's something that they would need. And it's not even so much the download speeds, it's the upload speeds. And I have like very little experience with that. But I just know, you know, from trying to put a video up on YouTube, it takes a long time. And I didn't realize it was my internet. So anyway. So that would be an example of something that would go in here that didn't exist before. And so what I'm hoping is, as we, when we get to, you know, part 4 on this agenda, and we actually start like dividing up the list, the people who choose a section will be, as they read it, they'll be able to really think about it and maybe even do research and see what other towns are doing, and so we can try and capture some stuff that maybe isn't in the plan already, but that we think should be. Okay, does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Internet, is there Wi-Fi here? I just tried to go to a homepage and I blew the whole thing.
There is Wi-Fi
Is
here.
there a password that people
It's
can use?
Wiscasset.
This was cast.
Yeah, it might be Wiscasset 1. It's not secret.
No, I didn't think it would be.
I hope it's not
I thought
secret.
it was, I looked around earlier.
Just total internet.
I just, yeah, maybe tomorrow the might not work, because I think it just gave up the secret. All right. So that was inventory of, oh, okay, and then, okay, so then the next little bullet point I put under that is assess planning process, reflect, and adjust plan as necessary. That's just something that I'm trying to make a practice of in everything that I do, like any sort of plan, just like periodically stop and like look at the plan and then think about it. Like how's it going, and then make adjustments and then go again. So it's like so none of this is written in stone at all. All right, does anyone have any comments or questions at this point? So step 2 is for me a little bit of it's a little more clear what step 2 will look like than it was on July 10th. You know, I've had more time to think about it, but I'm still a little murky on the whole process. So for step 2, I wrote the planning process. And then these bullet points that are under there may not be in a particular, they're not in any particular order, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I started thinking that it should go in this order, but I don't know if it goes in that order. So we will need to identify committee members and then have the Board of Selectmen appoint them officially and then become an official town committee. Then we'll need to go into this section over here, Wiscasset goals, policies, and strategies. Take a look at that and actually like look at each one of the goals right? They have a goal, and there's a lot of them in here. Look at each one, and then read what the goal is, and then look at what their plan was, and then maybe insert another column over here where, like, right where it says responsibility date, maybe insert a column next to that that says, you know, status. Like, did we do this, or did we not do this? Or were there parts of this goal that we met and other parts that we didn't meet, and how come? And that's probably, I think that's probably like juicier work than the inventory thing, but, and we talked at the last meeting, there was a little bit of back and forth over, can you just do the strategizing? Can you just look at the goals without looking at the inventory? And so I think we can't. You know, the room was sort of divided at the last meeting, and I think that what we need to do is the legwork first, as much as it would be fun to just go in and start evaluating our goals without having the inventory up to date. I don't believe that we can do that work thoroughly. Okay. Do you have
I agree, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's not that exciting to do the inventory stuff, but it has to be done, and
It might be very interesting when we discover something we don't have anymore that we thought we had, or vice versa.
yeah, I think whoever does the sewage treatment plant, like that's gonna be one of the most
Oh, buddy.
important inventory sections, right? Because there's a ton of work that needs to be done to bring the place, to keep the place legal. To bring it up, I mean, I think it's like legal now. There, our new, well, the director guy, that's not his name. He's not the director guy. I have a student at school who calls me Mrs. Teacher Lady, and like that's what they feel like, yeah, Mr. Director guy. He, Rick Gatt, right? Is that his name? I think it's Rick. He, which I totally know, I'm just a little nervous. He's worked really hard to keep DEP at bay. And like that's been his job, because the place was let go. It was let go for a long time. And we're aware of that, like the select board's aware of it. Katie comes to every select board meeting, so does Colleen. You guys have probably heard like all of his updates of things he's had to do and the equipment lists. Because of where it's located, thinking forward 10, 20, 30 years is, we're going to really think hard about what we do with that facility. Probably, you know, we might want to talk about moving it away from the edge of the river, because everybody would sort of agree, right? Scientists say the waters are rising and it's not going to be above sea level. We have to talk about that. And so without getting a sense of how much, it's not like it's in perfect working condition today. It needs tons of, thousands and thousands of dollars of work and equipment and upgrades. So at some point we need to stop and say, you know, and I think this is a great timing, right, that we're doing this comprehensive plan. Like, when are we gonna make a move on that? Or is there some other, I'm getting a lot of sandbags, so.
Well, if we move it, just on one, not to get on a tangent, if we move it, when we move it, all the pipes gotta move too.
Yeah, that's the thing, it's huge.
It's giant.
Yeah, it's a
You
big
know,
job.
that's how much people were upset about the waterworks that were done, what, 2 summers ago, last summer, 2 years ago already? You know,
Yeah.
so there's a lot to consider.
But that's why the inventory piece is like incredibly important, because you can't make a plan for that facility without understanding how it is today, and then all of the impacts of everything along our whole waterfront, right? Like that facility and all, everything over there. Water Street. Anyway, so assess the plan. Okay, I think we're at step 2. Okay, yeah, evaluate the 2008 goals. Then the next bullet I put on there was to seek a facilitator or a consultant for 2020 goal setting. At some point I think we're gonna need to pay someone. I would love it if we could do all of the work and then just pay someone to be the moderator at the big meeting that we'll have someday, like the big meeting with all the 200 people. But we may need help along, you know, we may need to spend other money before that. We may need help just with the goal setting section, you know, or I'm not sure. But so, yeah, that's on there. Another thing we need to do is citizen outreach, because we're not gonna get 200 people in a room. You know, a lot of people don't care about this stuff, or are unable to give up. They do care, but couldn't give up the whole day. So I think we're gonna have to work really hard to get a lot of people involved in the whole process, and then especially in the one big fabulous day. We have to come up with a name for that day. And then conduct the community-wide moderated goal session. That could be the name of the day, community-wide. Yeah, moderated goal session. And then again, I wrote down, assess the planning process, reflect and adjust as necessary. And that's just something as we go through, I would like to do a lot. And I'm really open to people's feedback. You know, like, even if it's, I think what you're doing is really backwards, you need to change it up. Maybe, you know, we do. So I don't know. All right, any thoughts or comments at this point?
I mean, I do have a question. So during the process, we're going to assess, planning the process, reflect, and adjust as necessary. Has anybody talked to anybody that actually was involved with the last plan that was conducted and what they thought would have worked better, or, you know, moving forward with the new plan?
We've talked to them, and Ann Leslie, I'm pretty certain she was part of the last process. She was here at the last meeting, and I think she wants to participate again. I'm not sure where she is tonight, but I don't think we've asked that question. How did it go? Well,
I think that would be important. You know, I mean, that's one thing that we do in the military is that we always have an after-action review, and just finding out something that maybe there was something that was done that could have been done better and been more efficient could help us with a new plan.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely. I don't have a pen.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
Oh, that's good.
I'll just remember that.
Because there's gotta be more than just her still kicking.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know the planner, Jeffrey Hinterlander's gone, and he would have been the best person. And I don't know if we could track him down, but that was the first comprehensive plan that the town had. So it would have been from scratch. And
Which is even better. I feel like that's even better. They built something from scratch and they know what they could have done
yeah.
to make it easier or better or.
Yeah, and I know they did a big survey, and I know they had a big public meeting. So maybe I'll make a note to try and reach out to Jeff. Like, he's still someplace. I could probably find him. You know, he's still in Maine. He's probably a planner somewhere. Great. That's a great idea, because really, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. But I also don't want to, we don't have the money to just farm this out. So one thing Ann Leslie brought up at the last meeting was costs of these types of, or maybe with Mary Ellen, they were saying that these types of comprehensive plans, just to give us a sense, I think Nobleboro paid consultants to do their entire plan, and it was $140,000. And Wiscasset did their entire plan with volunteers, and then had a moderator at the meeting for $10,000. So we have a little more than 10, but we have nowhere, we have 20. We have a budget for this year of 20,000. And then the other thing that people talked about was how long these plans take, and everybody pretty much said, you know, it's going to be it's a 1 to 2 year process. So, you know, when I first said I want to do a comprehensive plan, I was thinking we would get it done like by the time my term is up on select board, which is in June. So I don't think it'll be done in June of 2020, but hopefully we can get step 1 done, the inventory being done over a couple of months. And that's really going to depend on how many people, how many volunteer hours we get, you know.
Well, it can't hurt to start asking sooner than later, because it's gonna take, if we ask them how many trucks they have or how many satellites, it's gonna take them some time to decide to, I'm sure what this thing's doing, decide to get to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're gonna count on them to do it, it may be very difficult to get. I mean, you may end up going, may I go in there and count, you know, write them down, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, and get started.
Isn't each person in charge of a section paid,
Yeah,
and they report to
the town
town
manager.
manager?
Yeah.
So can't the town manager say, It's your job to tell us what you have.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to go into the bay and count the trucks.
We may have that I would think that we have
I just,
that information readily available.
Some
They
of the-
probably,
Some of the departments even report out in the town report.
yeah,
Like I think, I'm pretty sure the fire department, for example, has a listing of what their trucks were.
yeah.
You know, so
I mean, I think it could be useful for people who volunteer to do the different sections to have a standard form that, you know, is adaptable to whichever department you're working with, but, you know, it has common things that they should be looking for. So what vehicles you have, what condition are they in, when do you anticipate them needing to be replaced? You
yeah,
know,
that's good. I like that.
how is your building working? Do you have leaks?
Why do you
Do you
report?
have plumbing issues? Do you have anything, you know, any capital needs?
Well, a lot of that information will tell us what people in those positions are really thinking. Like, we know that they want a bigger building. Some people want a bigger building for the EMT or the fire department. That hasn't come up in a while, but it used to come up. You know, in the town works garage or things like that, we may discover major deficiencies that no one's really, or
Yeah.
a giant wish list, really,
Yeah.
too, you know.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, that's something I could probably help with as far as giving you a draft form that you can then look at and tweak however you want to, but going over the general capital issues that you're likely to encounter.
yeah. So that's actually the next bullet point, set group norms around inventory item. Like, that's it. It's a template. Like, basically we need to, because what I was thinking is next we can actually go through this list and then maybe people here will be like, you know what? I really want to take on transportation, or I really want to take on, and some of them are trickier than others, like economy. This is, this is not a town department, so I don't know, it has, and wait, let me ask you guys right now, in order to go through the inventory list and figure out like who maybe wants to take on what, right now, do we need to click open every single one of these and like look at them and get a sense of what's in there?
do we need to be formally appointed as a committee before we can start this work?
No, nope, not this part. I ran it by Judy and I ran it by John. And what I didn't want to do was have a committee formally appointed by the select board and then have everybody burn out before we actually got to do the goal setting. So what I thought is that not everybody here is going to need to work on every section, and there may be, like Colleen, you may be really able to do housing because of like your experience at work and understanding housing, just as an example. But then that's it, and then you don't need to come to a meeting again until it's time for goal setting. You know, once you're publicly appointed. Does that make sense to you guys? Because we grappled with that too, like, oh, do we all get appointed by the selectmen right now? And I thought, you know, we can't appoint everybody. Like, I want to have as wide a net as possible, and then we can't appoint, you know, everybody. They're probably going to boil it down, and we'll appoint like 10 people, 12 people. How big a committee?
Yeah, we should see who sticks it out.
Well, that was the other thing. I didn't want to, you know, appoint people who didn't want to roll up their sleeves and do this hard grunt work. And, you know, like, oh, I'm just here to tell you how to make the goals. Like, I wasn't interested in that as much. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
It sounds fine, play by ear until it solidifies a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody that's here now is obviously interested, they came.
The inventory update part could be done by a consultant. And John said to me today that you can pay someone, and I don't know if he meant you or,
It could potentially be.
yeah, and he was like, oh, you know, don't get bogged down in that. You'll get analysis paralysis, and you could just farm that out for $60 an hour.
Paralysis,
That's what he
is it?
said.
Oh, okay.
Analysis paralysis. And he said that he went through this process in Booth Bay and that the inventory work took 2 years. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be done. I mean, we have this framework, so we're not building it from scratch. So I don't see, I would like to try it without paying to start with and then save our money for the big fabulous meeting.
I agree. I don't want to pay somebody to do something that we can do for free. How far out? Is this a 10-year plan? Like, what is the
Yeah.
time?
Well, usually a comprehensive plan is a 10-year plan.
Mhm.
This one was written in 2008. It was actually written in 2007 and then updated in 2008.
So are we calling this a 2018 plan and we're behind a year?
We're behind.
Right, I mean,
So,
I know we're behind, but
I
I mean,
figure ours-
where's it gonna come out as a 2020 plan?
I think it's going to be a 2020
I
plan.
think that makes more sense.
2020 is my
Pop it
big
up.
year. I turned 50 in 2020. It's my 20-year marriage anniversary in 2020. So I'd love to do this in 2020. My comprehensive plan, getting my master's degree in 2020. It's like, that's my big year. Yeah, it's my year. That's why it's going to be the big, fabulous, huge Greek wedding. It's going to be one heck of a planning party.
I have another question. So we're talking about a year or two. Is that what we've seen across the board everywhere, or is that like?
That's the feedback that I got from other people who've done this, that it takes a long time. I was thinking that we could do it a lot faster, but
Yeah, it's a lot faster when you have staff that are working full-time on it. When you're doing it as volunteers and, you know, most of you all either have full-time jobs or are doing other things with your time too, you don't, just knock it out and get it done. So I think it does typically take, volunteer committees a couple years to do it. And, it saves money and you get something that really authentically represents your community and is a really democratic product, if it's done in-house. So, I think 1 to 2 years, some end up taking longer if they, can't come to consensus about things. But I think a good way forward is to start with some of the stuff that's pretty easy on the inventory. So like, get the easy part out of the way, get people used to working, get people used to doing their volunteer hours and, being able to see something get done. So like the capital kind of inventory where you're talking to town departments and finding out, the status of their equipment and their buildings. That's something that you could break up pretty easily, just like, I would say split up that section between volunteers and have each person talk to one department using a pretty similar form. Then you come back to the next meeting, you've got like a whole section that is basically done.
and then we can
And
decide from
then
there
to-
whether we want to, whether we're going to tackle next.
You might
Yeah,
have
I'd say that's a
provided
good
there some selections that take, that are very, more detailed, and maybe that's where you use the consultant.
This one, this historic and archaeological resources, this one's huge.
It looks like it probably hasn't changed a lot.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
You
Good
probably have some
point.
You know what I mean? There's no more ancient houses that popped up, and the archaeological sites are still there, I mean, or not there, whatever, That looked like, that was a pretty easy chunk to,
I was thinking it was going to be tricky just because, I don't know why.
I mean, possibly there's a couple of those famous houses, I don't know, since,
Yeah,
well, it's burned down since then or something, I don't remember. I don't think so. I imagine every one of those buildings is still there, and,
The pumpkin house is blue.
yeah, right,
It
there
was
you
the
go.
pumpkin house, so it was orange, and now it's blue.
Right,
So
yeah.
like little tweaks like that, but we have the Historic Preservation Commission. And maybe some of those volunteer, they volunteer on that, but they like.
Leslie lives in it.
She lives in the pumpkin house, like those are people that we would want to reach out to maybe to look at this section. Or, with Susan Wagner, or maybe it's a committee of them. So, yeah. I liked what you just said when you suggested maybe taking public facilities and services and dividing that up amongst us. And then we can go away, work on it, and then come back next meeting. Is everybody,
No, I
Do you
agree too.
want to do
I
that?
like that idea. I think it also lets us go out and we kind of can come back and have a consensus of everything that we've got. I know it's an inventory, but then when it comes to the goals, we're all kind of on the same page because we were doing sections together
Mhm.
instead of just like you did economy and you did population. You come back and you try to tell everybody that. I think it would be good to be well-rounded for everyone.
okay. Yeah, definitely as a starting point. Is everybody here comfortable with homework, like from this meeting?
I mean, I don't know if I can.
Like,
No, I'm just kidding.
Did you, yeah, I don't wanna, like, if you're just here because you were interested in the process, but you're like, what the heck? No, I went to that, I'm never going to a meeting again because I'm gonna get homework, but just, you don't have to. Okay. I never say that at school. You don't get that choice in my classroom. All right, so if we divided that section up then, and you could maybe.
The first section
send
you're
us a
talking about?
template. I think we were talking about this one, public facilities and services. Because this is the one where, is this the one we were thinking about? Like it would be one of the easier ones because those inventory items would probably exist already. What about another perspective if all of us, seven, if the seven of us start like calling the town manager and asking him for information, is that gonna be annoying or?
Yep, for him, but that's okay.
For him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might, well, if he has an issue, he can also just tell me and it can be part of assess, reflect, make a new plan.
Well, maybe a call to him, maybe from you, say this is how we're gonna do it, could you ask your department heads to be expecting a call from one of our volunteers? And then he puts that out, he's not taking all of those calls.
Okay,
He's directing all of those calls to the appropriate people.
that's a good idea.
That is good.
That's a great idea, and then we don't have to, because otherwise we could just hand the section to John O'Connell and be like, update this.
Yeah.
And I know he's really busy, so there's a lot of balls in the air. So, all right. Be great if I had like a concise list right now, but we ran through it at the beginning. So there's municipal government administration. Under that, there's town office staff, and boards and committees, and town properties. Then, so that's kind of one thing, right? There's the municipal government administration, and then there's the fire department, the ambulance service, and the police department. I feel like those could almost be bundled, right? And then there's the water supply. So water supply, just FYI, we get our water from the Wiscasset Water District, which is not the town department. And then sanitary sewer system.
Okay, so a quick question on that. It's not a town, I remember it's quasi-municipal. I mean, people get elected to be on the water board, but the town has no oversight of the way it's run. Is that how that works? I mean, then they talked
Not
about the
sure.
possibility of the water district taking over the running, I've heard that, I don't know if it was talked about publicly, running the sewage treatment plant, I don't know. if
Oh,
that-
I've never heard that.
Well, I've heard it brought up, maybe it just as an idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I just never understood how the water board works, and that's probably important for this whole thing, I mean.
Do you want to do water district?
Sure, I'll do it. Let me find out.
'Cause then you'll find out,
Right,
you know.
okay, I got it, great idea.
Then there's Public Works and Highway Department. As I read this list, I hope you're thinking like, yeah, I really want to do that. And then sidewalks.
Actually, I really do, because I'm really curious about, connected to that, the sewage
Go.
treatment plant. That's a huge thing for me, what's gonna happen with that, ultimately.
You
I
don't
know
really do
that I-
both though, do you?
No, but I'm saying, well, I consider them connected philosophically, maybe, you know? I
They
don't
kind of
know.
get the bill together, but they're, it's weird how that works.
Right.
It is, I know for budgeting, like the sewage treatment plant is an enterprise account, which means it's supposed to be self-sustaining. It
I'd be
makes
willing to look
money,
into both of those.
but it isn't.
I'd be willing to look at the research, talk to both.
Okay.
That'd be nice.
It's too much, I can do wastewater.
All right.
I deal with that professionally a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
do you
That's
really?
what I also want to know, is what people do. You're a teacher, you were the county planner. I don't know what you do, social work. You're working for the National Guard, and you work.
I'm a geologist and I do a lot of permitting compliance type work, so I'm kind of curious what the state thinks of the,
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
well,
tell
that'd
you
be great.
what,
Yeah, that'd be better.
the guy that's
For me.
there now, Rick, is amazing. Last night, he announced his retirement.
What? Can we just hire him? Rick Gate?
That is public, I know that it's public. It is public, it happened last night.
No, I just meant, I'm not being like that, like I'm shocked that he said it, I'm shocked that he's retiring, he just got hired.
I know, he's got some, family stuff that he needs to do, and he's gonna stay until January. And it is certainly public because we came out of an executive session and voted on
I
it
believe it
last
was in
night.
the newspaper.
Was it already in the paper?
Oh.
Yeah, and then, so I know that that was, that it just happened last night. So we need to, like, I need to, I think as a selectman, go and tour the facility. He's been wanting us to come over so he can show us everything. And you should definitely go too.
Yeah, that sounds great. That'd be
Yeah, and I can even let him know. We could even go, I don't know if we can coordinate going together, but if he's gonna give a tour, you know,
I
instead
can
of.
probably be there, I work from home a lot, so I'm around.
That could be something I'd be interested in coming to too, because county planning commission may be involved in trying to help them pursue grants for it and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be definitely interested in at least seeing it and asking a few questions. It's amazing. I think
It was
it's,
like a tour of like 19 people. We're like, can you please show?
well, it's important. I mean, you know,
It's
it's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing.
And it's right there. If we're talking about where it might be in the future, it probably shouldn't be there.
Or if it's gonna be there, how do you make that sustainable? I don't know. Okay, so then there's the sidewalks and the roads. And then there's the transfer station, solid waste and transfer. And Parks and Rec. The library, there's a bunch of stuff on this list. We might not get it all in one go. The school department. All right, so what do you think? Do you want to do the
I'll
wastewater,
do wastewater.
and you want to do water
Yep,
district?
that sounds great. And,
Parks and Rec.
You want to do Parks and Rec?
I'd be interested in doing the departments here.
The
Police
EMS,
department, EMS.
police, and fire?
Yes.
Okay. Katie, do you want to jump on any of this stuff?
Yeah, what's left now?
All right, so then, sadly, I'm gonna really have to study the YouTube video so I can type this all up because I'm not writing one thing down. What's left is, all right, so let's see, we have,
So the sidewalk and road stuff itself, probably we can cover as part of the DOT funded transportation
Okay.
analysis, but if there's somebody who wants to work with us on that, definitely some field verification, if we use GIS to assess the length of sidewalks, and then people are going out to specific locations to spot check. It might be useful to have volunteer support on that, because the budget we have from DOT to help them is limited, and we have to, at some point, agree with them on this is how much we're spending on Wiscasset's transportation section specifically, and we do want some of that to be left for transportation planning, not just transportation inventory. But I would say, you know, the verification of the sidewalks and roads is probably something that we can take the lead on.
is the railroad on here
Work with
anywhere?
them on.
what if I could do that with my class?
Have them go out and,
Yeah, I teach alternative education and I have a small class and I really want my kids to have like authentic experiences. Like
Mhm.
this is a valuable service that somebody needs to have done. So
That
if it's like measuring, how do you measure them? Do you just walk up them, like count your steps? And,
Um.
like, heel toe, heel toe?
Well,
That's how I measure things.
Yeah, I do. I had to pass a test on doing that in grad school for an urban design class, but usually use a measuring wheel. But for assessing like linear feet of sidewalk and stuff like that, we use geographic information systems to get like at least a baseline, and then we can do some field verification, and we also we can do some looking at condition of specific. You know, once we get further in the plan, we have priorities. You know, areas where you have resident complaints about the sidewalk not being safe, people are tripping over it, issues like that, we can go out and do a walking audit with your students and teach them about the different ways to assess whether a sidewalk is safe. That could be a
That would be really great.
project to work on.
But all of that, does all of that go into in this inventory?
That wouldn't necessarily be in the inventory.
Maybe
In the
would.
transportation section, you might have like just a category for the condition of the sidewalk, which I
Mhm.
know Bob, my predecessor, did for some of the comp plans that happened while he was the county planner, where he went out and walked the sidewalks, looked at how wide they were, what kind of condition they were in. So like filling in those columns, I think that is in your transportation system, or your transportation section of the
Okay.
plan, rather than, I think there's some repetition of,
In this,
you know,
yeah.
this and the transportation section on the sidewalk and road inventory. So we want to kind of make sure that we're streamlining that and not, you know, having two people do the same work.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't know what happened the first time. That would be a question for the other guy, Jeffrey, the calendar. All right. Water supply, that's
So
Jason.
essentially, we're just check, like say, my task would be to check the status of it and see if there's been major changes, is it run
Yeah.
differently, is it?
So I think what it would be is read this,
Right.
like, you know, every word, and then make sure everything that's written down here is still accurate.
Okay.
So, and we're gonna, if you, do you have a form handy, like a template?
a template, not,
Not so much your,
not
I don't look
Yeah.
at, yeah,
I mean, I have previous plans. You know, if you're looking at the inventory, it's basically just a spreadsheet that's like, where is the facility? How long is it? How wide is it? You know, what's the condition rating? You know, just like good, fair, you know, excellent, good, fair, poor kind of rating. That's usually just the level of detail you would look at, and then
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
there's
you
gonna be a lot of
identify.
changes here based on all that
Alright.
work we did.
okay, we'll come back to that. So sanitary sewer system,
And Jody just volunteered for library.
do we have
She
the
must be
viewer?
she must
Is
be
somebody watching?
She said she can see you.
Oh, of course you can. I got this.
Where's the
Over here.
thing? Julie? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, silly. So sanitary sewer system, it's you, and Jody said library?
She'll do library.
Okay. Public Works Highway Department, I think that's outstanding. Right. Sidewalks, is that under you?
Yeah, I can.
And local road systems, is that under you, or is that, I feel like that would go with highway too, or, and actually all three kind of go together, what do you think?
Yeah, well, we can probably talk further because I have to check in with DOT about, you know, figuring out a budget for working on the transportation section. So I don't know, since this is already done, I don't know that we need to do more than look at what new roads have gotten built, because this section doesn't have condition or anything
Right.
else other than
Right.
just like where
It's
it
just
is
a
and how long
list.
it is. So yeah, as far as looking over that and seeing if there are any glaring omissions, I can kind of take the lead on that. I'll get to know the
Okay.
town better that way.
So
but-
you have sidewalks and roads, we still have outstanding the, this department. Public Works Highway Department, which is, excuse me, Ted Snowden. And then we have Solid Waste and Transfer Station, which is actually also under Ted Snowden. It has its own supervisor.
Is that how that works? That's fine.
Yeah, I just got a memo about that. I guess it's always worked that way, but I didn't realize that. Parks and Rec is gonna be Colleen. Airport is under transportation, so we'll leave that out for right now. The public library is gonna be Jody. School department. Do you think, I mean, I could take school department, I work at school. Or Katie, you could take school department if you wanna learn more about school. But otherwise that leaves, school department,
Solid waste.
solid waste, or highways. Or if you want to, we could team up and tackle some of those together.
Whatever you think. I could do solid waste.
Do you want to? All right, Katie, transfer station. That's actually really interesting. We need to make changes there too. There's a lot happening, there's a lot not happening in recycling. And then there's a lot of other stuff that's coming, like, I think it's called Fiber Right. Are you guys all familiar with Fiber Right? It's,
They're gonna be the new people that are gonna take the
Yeah.
trash and supposedly recycle after they get the trash.
so what they do, they've built a huge facility in Hampton, Maine, which is near Bangor, and I really want to go there. What they do is they incinerate all the garbage, and they have a way of collecting everything that was petroleum-based out of that, and then turning it into like a nat- Yeah,
After,
they incinerate it and they collect all of the plastics, all of the petroleum-based stuff, all of the plastic that we can't recycle anymore, it goes in the garbage, will be turned into something similar to natural gas. And then
they're gonna get power from the
they're
burning
gonna,
too? They're
yeah.
gonna create power
I don't know if they get power from the burning. What I know is that
or pollution? We're gonna get something out of that.
they're gonna turn like our plastic waste into fuel that we can burn.
Right.
Yay, we can burn more fuel. It doesn't sound positive when they say it like that, but if you hear those guys talk about it, it sounds really good. So I don't know enough about it to explain it.
That's what they
do
said,
justice.
don't worry about the recyclables that are going in the trash now. Because you know, if you follow the new rules, you've got far less recyclables and way more trash.
Yeah,
I mean, you're forced to do that.
yeah. Sadly,
They're not getting as much money for the recyclables.
there's no market. What happened is, so China for many years was taking all of our recycling, not just Wiscasset, but all of the United States recyclables, and they allowed 20% contamination. So 20% contamination means like if you throw away anything that's dirty, or if there's, people get a little crazy with the single stream and would put in like, oh, they call it wish cycling. For the people in the business, it's like, I don't know what to do with these old Christmas lights, I'm just gonna put them in the single stream. And so all that stuff is baled, and I mean, humans do look at it, but all that stuff gets baled and bundled in the past and would be shipped to China, and they would accept it with 20% contamination. Well, now in 2018, I believe, I think it was in 2018, not as recently as January of this year, China reduced that percentage to 0.04, and it's an impossible percentage to meet. And so it's not just Wiscasset or even just Maine, it's across the country. We can't do single stream recycling anymore because there's nowhere for it to go. So in Wiscasset, we used to pay $5 a ton to move the single stream recycling and $70 a ton to move trash. And it changed for us in January to $125 a ton for single stream. So we continued accepting it up until July 1st, and then we switched, and we're just recycling now the stuff that can be recycled, because it turned out for that $125 a ton, the single stream was being hauled off and put into the trash. So we weren't really recycling it, we just thought we were and felt, I mean, we knew we weren't, but I think a lot of people in the community felt like they were still recycling, and the stuff wasn't being recycled.
I think a common misperception is that the town makes money off the recycling. But you get paid so much per ton of recycling.
Yeah, no.
Which I used to think, and then when the price
We
went
make
up.
money on metal. If you look at any of our reports, they come every month, we do make money on metal, and we make money on some other things. But like if you have a washing machine and you want to throw away scrap metal, we get paid for that. I can't think of the list right now because.
We paid for corrugated cardboard, right?
Right, that's what I was thinking too. I didn't want to say it for sure.
But I think that the price of that even went down, so we're not getting paid as much as we used to be getting paid.
If you go in the transfer station and look, there's a big board, and I don't know how up to date it is. It may still say that we pay $5 a ton for single stream, but the other stuff that's on there is pretty accurate. So now we're recycling through Lincoln County Recycling, which is right around the corner, because we used to haul all of our single stream someplace else, and now instead it's going around the corner, and they recycle glass.
Well, who was putting recycling to Lincoln County Recycling then? If we weren't,
Other towns,
so other towns, our Wiscasset recycling is going elsewhere, and other towns is coming
yeah.
to Lincoln County. Is that the only Lincoln County site for recycling?
Yeah, it's like a hub. It's a
And I
major
always
hub.
wondered about that building, because there's
Yeah, and so,
I thought maybe it was an old building or something.
I mean, as long as one person's watching on YouTube, we may as well just say, like, if you really wanted to try and save money for the town, like, don't try and put less stuff in the trash so you can compost. So all of your food waste, which is really heavy, could go to Lincoln County Recycling. You can drop it off at their transfer station, there's a place for it, and then they take it to Lincoln County and they make compost out of it and they sell it. And then, and I know it's really heavy, I had my class do an experiment last year where we collected all of the garbage from 20 classrooms for a 2-week period, and we opened the bags up, dumped them out, we weighed it, and then we separated it and weighed it again to see how much we were throwing away. And the kids throw away full milk cartons and apples. These things are heavy, and every classroom had apples and milk. And I was like, stop throwing away the apples and the milk, but you know, because it's heavy and you can just get it out of there, then we would save money. All
Did
right,
the school
so-
reform that? Do they pour the milk out now?
No,
Oh.
it was one of those things where we gathered the information and then nothing happened.
Okay.
We have a lot of, but it's not gone. It was only last year. I'll bring it back. I will. All right. So you're going to do the transfer station. So what did that leave? That left the school and the.
The highway department, like their trucks and equipment.
All right.
Taking the inventory of that.
I can do.
How do we do the school piece? 'Cause I mean, I think most of that stuff,
Probably-
Stacy probably has on hand
Yeah.
for information.
All right. Then I'll do the highway department. Did we just divide up that list? Yes. All right. So that was our second bullet point. We didn't read the whole inventory list, but we took one item off the inventory list and then we divided that up. This first round, I feel, is going to be a learning exercise for us too, and we'll see how it goes. And we may decide like this is for the birds and we don't want to do it, or
So were we gonna try to come up with standard questions that we're asking each department and then have a section of it that's, you know, becomes more individualized?
yeah. Well, that was where we were kind of saying. I was like, oh, if you have a template ready, we could set some group norms right now on what we want to ask each department.
Oh, you mean for the department, like the capital survey? Yeah, I can send around, I mean, I have to write a draft based on past versions I've used in other places, but I can send something around if you want, or,
Is that gonna eat up too much of your time? Like, would you rather have somebody draft something and you can just eyeball it? Like, I don't know how much time you can give
I mean,
us.
that would be pretty quick. I'm gonna be at a meeting from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow, so I won't get it done tomorrow. It's a transit conference.
That's a big meeting.
So, yeah, it includes breakfast and dinner, fortunately, and lunch. Friday or next week, I could probably get you out a draft of, you know, kind of standard capital facility survey, and then you can, if you want to work on it online, so that, I don't know, how often do you meet?
Well, that's the next thing, to set the next meeting date and time. And before we do that, can I pass this around for everyone to just put their name and email address? Because I don't know if I have your email address.
Yeah,
There was
because
like
that'd
one
be good to
guy-
put that out so we could, I don't know, kind of contact each other.
What'd you say?
You know, it'd be good that if we all knew different email addresses. You know everybody's address.
I do.
Send it out.
And then how much do you think I should put on here, like for the public? So if I go to just the home page. So this is just our home page and here's our little menu. Like there's, how much stuff do you think I should add? Like I'll take notes on what we talked about tonight, link it there, link it on here. I can link the YouTube video. I can, and what else should I put in? If we get this, do we want a discussion board or do we want to, I created a Facebook group. You don't do Facebook, do you?
Well, I never have, yeah.
You don't have to. I'm not going to make you. You look dejected.
Well, yeah. I know, it's a problem for everybody I know.
I can put out everyone's, as long as everyone is okay with me sharing our contact list, I won't put it online, but I'll share
I
it
gave
amongst
everybody
us.
my email thing last year.
Yeah. I have my contact information on here, and then I have this form, so for anybody who might be, for you guys, and then for anyone who might be watching on YouTube, there is a form to give feedback on this process. And it's anonymous unless you want to add your name and email address. So if somebody wanted to just share feedback, concerns, or questions regarding this process or anything related to the Wiscasset Comprehensive Plan, you can you can fit a paragraph on there, I don't know how long that is. And then you don't have to put your email address. I wonder how many comments I'll get. The newspaper used to have an article, a column called Tell It to George, and it was, do you remember that?
No, I remember you talking about
I was
it.
like the first thing that ever outraged me about living in Wiscasset, and it was that column in the newspaper, and it was anonymous, so people could write in letters
People would say that.
and say, do you remember it?
I remember.
Yeah, and I moved here and I was sort of astounded. I was like, I can't, and it was, I couldn't believe it. And it would have things like, to the person with the blue tarp over their, brush pile on Federal Street, what an eyesore, clean the mess up. It was like,
Wow.
really?
Who was George? Really a person?
I don't know who George was. But the first letter I ever wrote to the Wiscasset newspaper was like complaining about Tell It to George. I think I said like, shame on you, Wiscasset newspaper. All right, are we good to go? Oh, next meeting time. Are you guys good? So third Mondays or Wednesdays, this room is available. There's a Tuesday night that it's available, but I'd rather not do it on Tuesday night if we could. So do you guys have a preference? And do you think once a month is enough?
I think that when we talked about it being a year or two now, I understand we're doing once a month meetings.
Probably maybe we could kick it up a notch once we get rolling,
Yeah.
if we wanted to.
2 times
Like
a
in the middle of
month.
the winter, maybe, or something, I don't know. See how everybody does on the first assignment, maybe.
Yeah, we could do, so I had wanted to meet in the school, only because I work in the school and that's my comfort zone over there, and I have a nice classroom. And I'd like the public to come and see how nice it is. We have a really nice school. But we don't have, I haven't like set up a YouTube feed there, so some members of some people attended the first meeting thought it would be better to be here. It was more public. But this room is only available on all those dots on that calendar over there are the different meetings. So this room is really only available on third Wednesdays.
That's good for me, generally, I think.
Maybe we could do a show of hands, like whether the Monday is better or the Wednesday. Because for me, the Monday is better, but I can do Wednesday most of the time.
Preference is Monday, but I can get Wednesday dark.
I mean, there's a great water aerobics class on Wednesday at 6, but
Monday's fine with me
There's
too.
also a Ohio
Yeah,
that's on Wednesdays at 6.
is there PIO Wednesdays at 6? Yeah, that's right, I actually see you
We're
were
taking
taking
pictures
out.
in Europe today, so I'm planning here.
Oh, because PIO trumps planning.
It does actually.
PIO's fun. All right, so is Monday good? Can we do third
Yeah,
Monday?
Third Monday, so that makes the next one, when? Third Monday,
And I highly recommend the water aerobics and the PIO at the community center.
Third Monday of October, what?
Trump planet.
Over there, I can't see that.
That looks like that's the 21st. I think I may have a conflict that night.
Oh,
I don't know
really?
if you need a county planner here, but there's a bicycle and pedestrian plan going on in Bristol that I believe has a meeting that night that is going to be an important one to be at for that next one.
So it's 21st or 23rd, next for October.
It would be the 20, yeah, there's a blue dot on the 23rd. Oh, that's Conservation Commission.
Commission.
23rd is, I'll be in Augusta till probably close to 5, that particular.
What time is your meeting? Because
I think it's at 6:30.
I would love it if you could be there, but if you can't be there, then you could we'll touch base with you later.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I probably won't be at all of the meetings.
Yeah.
So if we can do some stuff by email, or I'll send you all a draft sort of public facilities inventory form for using with the departments, and then we can discuss it via the website or
Sounds good.
email, and then people can go out and collect the inventory information, and I don't think you need me to, you know, be involved in the discussion of what you all found.
Okay, all right. So, great. Then we'll have our next meeting on Monday, the third Monday of October, which is the 21st.
21st.
Yeah. Since I'm not writing anything down, I will be watching this. You're like, when was that? Fast forward.
And you all meet at 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, we can meet at 6. I mean, I'm a school teacher, I can meet earlier, but I know everybody isn't a school teacher. Colleen, you work till 5, right? Yeah, we'll just leave it at 6. We'll just do it at 6. I don't want to do it later because my day's coming to an end here. All right. Any other comments or?
2 questions.
Yes.
Sorry, I know where let's go, right? One question is, we're just doing the inventory, or would we want to ask the department heads if they could change something or make something better? Do we want that information or not?
Well, I think what you, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I want to ask a lot of questions if I get somebody cornered, basically. You
Oh,
know,
I plan-
willing to talk.
I plan to corner all of you.
I think that if you ask a lot of questions, then you may, in a nice, so it doesn't seem like
No, I don't mean interrogation. I mean, like, if
Yeah.
you had whatever you needed, all the resources you could, what would you change about your department or make it better? So that, when we do go for the goal setting, we can bring what the department heads have said. Hey, this is what we have, and this is what we want.
And that goes along with the things that are missing, right? Items not represented in 2008. Like there could be new technology that just didn't exist in 2008.
Right.
So yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
You know, you're gonna follow up with John to just let his staff know that we'll be calling.
Yes. Why don't we wait until we get the form, which will be like Friday or the beginning part of next week, and then that'll give John a couple of days, because the town office doesn't work on Friday. So, that'll give him like a couple of days to talk to people, so that it's not like, who's this guy, asking me questions, or Colleen, what are you doing? All right, anything else? Was that a good answer?
No, that was a great answer.
Okay.
I was just going to ask to clarify, this homework assignment is supposed to be done by the next meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
I mean, I planned on doing that. I just want to make sure that we didn't all get together and they were like, oh, that's supposed to be done?
Yeah, thank you. For next meeting. And then as, time between now and next meeting, if I think of things, I'll just email you guys. I'll make sure everybody, and I'm going to email a whole list of the people that were at the first meeting, because I'm figuring they still are interested. They just couldn't be here tonight. So, all right. We good?
Excellent, no, that's great. Great.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Nice to meet everybody that I didn't know before, which is
Yeah.
most of you, really, I know you two. And you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And, oh, yeah, I need that. Nice to meet you all.
Good meeting you.
Thank you so much for being here.
My first public meeting with one of the towns as the county planner, so.
All right.
Oh, really?
I saw you in the
Bear
paper.
with me in my brand new role.
Will you spell your first name?
It's ELSWYTH.
ELSWYTH, okay. Thank you.
I wonder how it stopped.